The latest in the Russia investigation, the FISA memo released by House Intel Democrats over the weekend has some key differences from the one released a few weeks ago by the Republicans. Democrats said the FISA warrant made only narrow use of that, phony Russian dossier. And Republicans claim there would have been no warrant without it. The two sides also disagree whether the FBI informed the court of the political origins of the document, which was paid for by the DNC and the Hillary Clinton campaign. So who's telling the truth? Let's debate it with Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz, a member of the House Judiciary Committee, and Philippe Reines, who is the former senior advisor, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Don't laugh.
It's a different pronunciation every
time.
Well,
I like to keep you guessing. Let's talk about what this memo said. I mean, the Democrats were kind of celebrating over the weekend, Congressman Gaetz. They say that, look, it really wasn't the reason this Russian investigation began. They were surveilling Carter Page for some time. Then the Papadopoulos information came up in the summer of 2016. So the Republicans are, making a mountain out of a molehill here.
What's most fascinating, Laura, is what's not in the Democratic memo. The fundamental premise of our argument is that cash at the Democratic National Committee was convertible into a government-sponsored warrant to spy on American citizens. And surprisingly, the Democratic memo does not say Hillary Clinton's name once, and it doesn't mention the DNC once. And so I think it's pretty evident that there are a lot of the Republican claims that are actually bolstered by the Democratic memo, including the fact that the dossier was used to get this warrant and that a Yahoo News article planted by Christopher Steele was also served as a validating basis for the fake dossier. It's shameful.
Felipe?
Well, Lori, I've learned the last couple of months that if I'm going to play poker with someone, there are four people I want to play with. Donald Trump, Congressman Gaetz, Jim Jordan, you started this, and Devin Nunes, because these guys wear their fear on their sleeve. When they yell memo, when they introduce legislation, it means they know what's coming. Literally, they probably have a heads up, but they know that there's a problem. In this case, I'll let you introduce your legislation. The previous case, when you called for Special Counsel Mueller to be fired, that was in November. Mueller was appointed in May. 6 months go by. Why do you wait for that? I'll tell you why he waited. Because 5 days before his legislation, Paul Manafort was indicted. 5 days before the legislation, the indictment, Mike Flynn was rumored to be talking to Mueller.
The same one that Comey said didn't lie when he was interviewed by.
But I think the pattern
Yates.
here is we see memos coming out of the sky and legislation coming out of the sky when the Republican the House Republicans are doing Donald Trump's bidding.
Well, we'll play poker anytime, but we hold the aces in that poker game when you've got a circumstance where Mueller's team has strong evidence of bias, and still to this day, not a single piece of evidence that there was any collusion. I mean, look, when you guys lost this campaign, you had to blame the Russians. You had to blame Bernie Sanders. I think at one point you guys have blamed Jill Stein. I mean, at what point does the Hillary Clinton team say we just lost because we had a worse candidate and Donald Trump had the more compelling message?
Guys, I want to play.
At what point do you say I am concerned about Russia meddling in our election?
I am concerned about Russia meddling. I am concerned about Russia meddling in elections all over the world. They do it everywhere. But if you guys ran such a
you took an oath to preserve and protect.
What did Obama? What did Obama? Wait, hold on. It's fun watching you two. But
why do you allow Russia?
Was your campaign so bad that you got beat by 100 Russian trolls? You guys were spending millions of dollars every day, and you're saying 100 Russian trolls are what beat you guys?
Again, I'm hearing the House Republicans say the Russians just.
Okay. I'm glad Democrats finally care about the Russians, because last time I checked, they were trying to do reset and the button, and we were smiling with Putin at conferences and so forth. Carter Page, who obviously was the target of the surveillance, I interviewed him a few weeks back, and I asked him specifically about this guy Igor Sechin, who's mentioned in the Democrats' memo as someone the Steele dossier claimed he met with. I asked him about that specific individual. Let's watch.
So I gave a speech, and there was one senior government official who spoke after me. He was walking out of the building after he gave his speech, and we had a very brief conversation for less than 10 seconds.
Was that Igor Sechin?
No, I've never met Sechin in my life.
You're saying tonight that you have never met Igor, I always forget his name, Sechin. You've never met him.
I've never met him in my entire life.
Well, look,
I think in the spirit of bipartisan comedy, I think we could say that Carter Page is the dumbest person in this entire scandal.
If that's a characteristic of not being able to speak on television, whatever, an empty TV sets all over.
But he is the basis. His trip in July 2016 and his work going back as far as 2013, 2014 is the basis for the FBI looking at him.
So you're comfortable with the fact that in the end that this memo, the FISA warrant, did not include a reference to Hillary Clinton?
Well, I'll tell you, first of all,
really quick, I'm going to go black.
It said that it came from Oppo sources.
Wouldn't have bothered you if you were the target of this investigation. Wouldn't have bothered you. Would have bothered me.
Friends don't give the FBI information on friends. It always comes from people.
If you were the target, you wouldn't like that. I can tell you that.
I wouldn't be the target because I didn't collude or obstruct with Russia.
Oh yeah, Carter. One look at Carter Page.
How are you prejudging that?
There's no evidence.
Guys, stop. Philippe. He can't be both dumb and kind of doing the super secret spy network.
Oh, sure, he could be a bad spy, which is how he got caught.
This is how the
Donald Trump Jr. isn't the sharpest knife in the drawer either.
Okay, well, then what am I going to say about Hillary Clinton if the dumb person ends up winning the election? I don't know what it says about your people.